And this brought autobiography back into the historical research. Up to now, the role of novelists and forging nations has been acknowledged widely, especially that was highlighted by Benedict Anderson in his book Imagined Communities. Autobiographies did not receive much of the attention in those lines or in other researcher works. It's presumed in this paper that autobiographies, through its production and circulation, can play a role in the making of the nation. Like any other cultural artifact, it can contribute to the shaping of the history and its discourse, and it could assume multiple historical functions in its possible afterlives. So, Sheikh Abdullah's autobiography, in that sense, is not just a source of understanding Kashmiri nation and its diverse constituents as imagined by its foremost leader and its master narrative, from which most of the subsequent national literature receives their derivations, but most importantly, it is also an important political tool of communication aimed at influencing the course of the history. When we just go through the pages of that very autobiography, Sheikh Abdullah ends his autobiography, that is Flames of Chinar, and in Urdu it is Atas Chinar, with the couplet by Maulana Rumi. It goes like this in Farsi. Hopefully I will just pronounce it correctly. It is Tubare Vast Kardan Amdi, Nabare Fasl Kardan Amdi. And its meaning is like this: you have entered this world to unite, not to divide mankind. So, this couplet is also the closing note of the chapter on the Kashmiri Panditas, that essentially Abdullah essentially calls them to join the mainstream of the nation, which was constructed under his leadership. A nation that though initially draws energies from the communal solidarity against the state discrimination, because largely the sufferers were the Muslim community. The notion of nation as constructed during the political mobilization of under Sheikh Abdullah rhetorically carries such a spirit of accommodation as a nation is imagined around the imagined geography of Kashmir and its culture or its multiplicity of ethnicities. It is such a nationalist agenda that made Abdullah the central figure of the modern Kashmir. He has been influential and controversial ally. One could hate him or love him, but seldom ignore him while trying to understand the modern Kashmir. He laid the nationalism of the Kashmir on scholastic lines, reclaiming it from the religious and ethnic locations. However, Sheikh Abdullah was, at the end, he was very well aware of the fact that his brand of the nation was being challenged from the various quarters, and the very decision to construct his autobiography was arguably to intervene in the seemingly changing the course of the history. And the same has been confirmed by the Muhammad Yusuf, through whom the autobiography of Sheikh Abdullah got transcribed in the letters. The autobiography is an exposition of the nation of Abdullah, the historical circumstances that fashioned it, the values it stood for, the adversities it confronted with, and the principles and the people it opposed. His autobiographical narrative, though through his own life story and the biography of the national movement he led, though speaks about the nation he was leading and the principles it represented. Even while emphasizing the scholastic principles to which the nation is adhered to, Abdullah's narrative acknowledged the Muslim majority undercurrent of the movement. He narrates the discrimination against the majority Muslims by the Dogra rulers through his personal experience, which led him to the making of the Muslim conference, and the internal, as well as he also highlights the internal schism within the Muslim community, which prevented them rallying towards going together against the Dogras. After establishing his dominance in the national movement, he subsequently thrown open his party to all communities in an attempt to save it from the pearls of communalism. Sheikh Abdullah captures the spirit of Kashmiri Brotherhood in the beginning itself, as he inaugurates his autobiography by the sayings of the secular ancestors that consists of both Muslims and as well as Hindus, to make his entry into his narrative. These quotations underline the common and shared culture of the Kashmiris alongside the imperative of the living together. The first quote I will just mention here is of Nundareshi, Sheikh Nuruddin Noorani Rahmatullah Allah. It goes like this, quote, "I broke my sword and fashioned a skill," unquote. Another quote is from Kalana's Raj Tarangri. It goes like this, "Kashmir, by the power of spirit, yes, you can have it. By the power of sword, you can never have it." Besides this, Abdullah also defines his nation against his enemies, the values of the nation he believed in other the values being represented by the Mirwais family, who were having a command in the supreme position within the valley. He alleged that the Mirwais family failed to mobilize the oppressed Kashmiris against the Dogras, but were opportunistic in their political decisions as they were aligning with different forces against the nation and its interests. Muhammad Ali Jinnah too had no place in the psyche of Abdullah's nation for his two-nation theory based on communalism and lack of respect for the democratic values. The Hindu revivalist tendencies and the authoritarian federalism as represented by Sardar Patel has also been denied a place in Abdullah's imagined nation. Abdullah imagined his nation as superior to nations of India and Pakistan. He justifies his decision to support accession with India as a result of Pakistani aggression and its communal foundation. At the same time, Sheikh Abdullah imagined nation retained an ambivalent relation with India. He also narrates the circumstances under which his demand for the complete freedom of his nation has undergone change. It progressively declines from independence to autonomy, from self-determination to saving of the Article 370 from further inroads. Besides this, he has attempted to make his nation materially independent and self-sufficient, alongside retaining the special status according to Jammu and Kashmir without further inroads to it. The personal suffering he undertook for the nation also stands out in the autobiography, making the nation a product of innumerable similar sacrifices. So, while imagining retaining, in order to have a unique identity for his nation, he just makes his try to build up this unique identity by highlighting, by way of retaining an ambivalent relation with India through Kashmir Manifesto. Sheikh Abdullah claimed a difference for his nation. Though in the outer sphere, outer domain of politics, Sheikh Abdullah sought the help of the Indian nationalist movement and remained open to it. But he asserted that the individuality of the Kashmiri nation and the supreme right of his supreme right to its people to decide its destiny. Sheikh Abdullah reiterated his nationalist stand of remaining independent. What he says that is, quote, "Kashmir needs peace to decide his future. She will not tolerate any external interference. Any effort to pressurize us will result in revolt," unquote. Sheikh Abdullah was also proud of his nation, as it remained very indifferent, because during the time of the partition, when communalism was overall engulfing the whole Indian subcontinent, Kashmir at that time remained very peaceful and the brotherhood prevailed there. It was the Sheikh Abdullah's imagination of independent nation that he supported the accession, because Kashmiri nationalists had ever at that time tended to treat Indian National Congress as their ally. So, should I conclude? Okay. So, conclude, we can say that his Sheikh Abdullah and his idea of nation remained controversial not only within Kashmir but also across South Asia. The autobiography brings forth the life he lived and that of the nation he lived, as both merges in pivotal ways and map out the trajectory of the nation with the twists and the reconfigurations it had undergone over half a century of his life. Thank you.
So there is a mic set, right? So please raise your hands if the people are giving questions, any comments. Thank you, Waseem, for that paper, which unfortunately we had to cut short. Comments, observations, criticism, etc. Most welcome. Please raise your hand if there is.
I find quite fascinating that you talked about that. That talking about the complexity of a person's life is equivalent to talking about complexity of Kashmir, and you took Sheikh Abdullah's biography and you talked about it, which is very similar to what Mills in his sociological imagination talks about, that if you want to understand history of a society, you look at the biography of a person. So my question was, I was trying to pick up incidents or experiences of his life that I could relate to the Kashmiri society. So I couldn't really find some of the experiences or instances which could be directly put. So if you could maybe share some of these experiences of his life that resonates with the Kashmiri society. Thank you.
Actually, Sheikh Abdullah was the person who was because it was Sheikh Abdullah who was leading, who started the movement of freedom struggle there in Kashmir against the Dogras. So right from the beginning, his oral personal life, whatever through which he was going on, was associated with the freedom movement. So it's quite obvious that his personal life, personal experience were related with the resistance movement, were related with the freedom movement.
Are there any other questions, comments? I myself thought that probably when you write a paper, as a research paper, full length, so probably you could also look at this particular autobiography against or along with other autobiographies. Something like the inaugural autobiographies of the Indian nation, or autobiography by Nehru, Experiments with Truth by Gandhi. But I think there is also a 3-volume autobiography by Gilani. So probably if you look at this autobiography in the context of